Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to yet another webinar with Costarchem. I'm sure we can all hear me. Welcome, everyone. So I'm Mojisola Akinwumi, a technical support engineer here at Costa, and I'll be taking you today on fluorine systems for car parks. And it's 12 noon. Multi-story car parks must withstand all weather conditions, from hours of intense UV rays to freezing temperatures, snow and ice. Now, this is basically for countries or environments where we have where it snows and we have ice. But then for definitely here in Nigeria, one key factor we need to look at is UV rays. We have very harsh weather conditions. Our sun is usually very hot. If you go to the north, it's usually very hot, and it's also relatively freezing in the north as well. All right, so for the intermediate decks, now in contrast to the exposed decks, the intermediate decks will not be exposed to UV rays, so will not need to be able to withstand all the harsh or changes in weather condition, but must be robust enough to withstand the constant abrasion and shear stresses of moving vehicles. Very important. Now, when the car park is full of vehicles, basically, the intermediate car park deck will definitely flex significantly. So now, compared to when it is empty, so it's very important that the car park system in your intermediate level, in fact, on all levels, need to be very flexible to be able to withstand that movement, the flexing when it's full and when it's empty. And if there was no flexibility in the fluorine system, these varying conditions are likely to cause cracks over time when your system is not flexible. Please, can we kindly mute that? It will result in potentially dangerous failure systems. So look at the basement level. Now, for the basement level, we need something that can prevent water from moving up, because if we do not prevent rising moisture, our fluorine system is definitely going to get damaged. And in order to avoid this, if you remember our webinar on waterproofing admixtures, we talked about waterproofing your concrete floor, especially we talked about waterproofing admixtures for areas that are exposed to hydrostatic conditions, which is our basement, because we know that the basement usually goes below grade. Sometimes you get to the water table, sometimes you get below the water table, depending on the kind of the environment, the way, how high or how low the water table is. Now, just take us through the slides. The lowest car park basement levels, which is ground resting, seem to have an ecosystem all of their own, with very little or no exposure to sunlight. These spaces are not subjected to the same flexing or thermal cycle. Where was I? Now, with very little or no exposure to sunlight, so the basement car park level basically is not exposed to UV resistance, and it's not exposed to as much flexing as the intermediate level and the decking, the roof decking, basically because it has contact with the ground, which gives it a little bit of support. Now, because of the contact with the ground, these levels are much more likely to experience rising moisture, which can lead to severe difficulties for the flooring. Now, dampness in concrete screeds can quickly lead to floor failure because the lowest basement is often below the level of the water table, and this has a very high risk of failure. And so a flooring system with rising moisture tolerance must be specified. And in order to do this, you can also use the polyurethane system here or the epoxy system. So I was saying something about the basement level. So it would be very good and appropriate if we use a very good waterproofing admixture. According to ACI 212, it would be good to use an admixture that is suitable for or can withstand hydrostatic water pressure, which is our crystalline waterproofing admixtures. If you'd like to know more about it, you can, when filling the feedback form, just note it there and we'll get back to you on that. So now, basically for all of what we've talked about, in order to meet all the requirements and to meet the challenges that we've stated that car park systems are exposed to, I highly recommend a polyurethane flooring system. Now, why? Now, polyurethane or PU flooring is well known for its long lifespan. One, excellent abrasion and impact resistance, its ability to be decorative. You can decorate it. You can have markings on it, any color that you want to have. And it's also UV stable with long-term gloss retention, depending on the client specification. Now, as well as all of these properties, it is the flexibility of the polyurethane system that makes it very, very suitable for the intermediate car park decks. Please mute your audios, please. Thank you. Now, PU can be specified with an aliphatic sealer on the top just to maintain the glossiness, to maintain that gloss, that shine that you have on it. You can actually specify the polyurethane flooring system with a sealer, especially when you're using it on the exposed deck, making the deck coating color stable with excellent gloss retention and making it extremely tough. Now, color stability is a key consideration for car park decks to avoid discoloration, as well as retaining the high gloss finish for many, which can make the car park feel like a safer and more pleasant environment. So that's basically why we recommend that you seal the top of your car park flooring. So now, what polyurethane flooring systems do we provide here in Costarchem? So our polyurethane flooring systems have waterproofing properties, which makes them suitable for both the basement level, the intermediate levels, and also the car park exposed deck levels as well. And for the basement levels, this is suitable when we use an adequate and appropriate crystalline waterproofing admixture in casting our concrete for the screed, and also using a waterproofing membrane to best practice. Now, what's Confloor 5100? Confloor 5100 is one of Costa's polyurethane flooring system for car park deck, which is based on a one-component solvent-based aromatic polyurethane resin, sealed with a final layer of one-component solvent-based aliphatic polyurethane. Now, it is an ideal option for waterproofing roofs with heavy pedestrian or light vehicular traffic. Now, if you've been part of our previous webinars, when we talked about roof waterproofing, we spoke about polyurethane waterproofing membranes. But we've noticed over time that while working with people, when we use the polyurethane waterproofing membranes on their roofs, and they feel it's okay to take up chairs, have it sit out and all on it, now it gets damaged, basically because it's not withstand for that heavy pedestrian traffic, and moving the chairs and all on it could easily rupture the membrane. So if you're having a roof deck and you want to waterproof it, but you want to have heavy pedestrian traffic on it, you want to have it sit out on it, it would be good to use the polyurethane flooring system, which waterproofs, makes it heavy duty, and makes it a suitable and appropriate flooring system for your roof deck. Now, what are the features and benefits of Confloor 5100? High wear resistance, low maintenance, low maintenance, excellent adherence to concrete mortar substrates, high elasticity, crack bridging capacity, aliphatic finish, and colors available. And if you think back, or if you look through what we spoke about regarding the challenges that the car park floors actually experience and the requirements that needs to be met, you find out that the features and benefits of the Confloor 5100 meets all the challenges and the requirements for our car park flooring system. Now, how does this work? So basically, for application, we know that adequate surface preparation is key for any flooring system, any waterproofing system. So the surface preparation, means that our concrete needs to be properly cured for a minimum of 28 days. Okay. For a minimum of 28 days. Yeah, without capillary humidity. That's for the basement levels, no rising moisture. That's why we need to waterproof. Now, the resistance must be less than 1.5 Newton per meter square with temperature greater than 10 degrees Celsius. So now, priming is very important because the primer serves as a binder that helps to bind any membrane to the system appropriately. So we're going to be priming with our Costarchem 500 primer at a rate of 0.5 kg per square meter. And what's recommended for priming is 2 coats. So having the first coat and second coat, you're priming at a rate of 0.5 kg per square meter. But each coat is going to be 250 grams per square meter, each coat of the primer. So the next you have is the base coat of your corn floor, 5,100. So which is, I call it base coat because that's the first coat that comes on it. So you apply the first coat of the corn floor, 5,100. And after that, because we really want to have an anti-slip property, we want it to have this rough finish, which gives people that are driving, which gives drivers the confidence that it's anti-slip. We advise that you broadcast aggregates on it. So you apply a layer of, that's the first base coat is about, the layer should be 0.5 kg per square meter. And then the sand that will be, the aggregate that will be broadcast on it, you sprinkle the aggregates at the aggregates of 0.3 to 0.8 mm at the rate of 1 to 2 kg per square meter. So once you sprinkle the aggregates on the surface, the next thing is to apply the top coat on the surface, which is the corn floor, 5,100 top coats. Remember we said that it comes in we have two components. We have the aromatic and then we have the aliphatic. So for the top coats, what you're applying is the aliphatic, the single component solvent-based aliphatic polyurethane resin. And this creates a tough, flexible, and UV stable coating and will be applied at the rate of 350 grams per square meter. Water-based. Remember the other one was resin-based, was not water-based. So this is water-based, a bit more friendly, eco-friendly. So this is a two-component water-based system based on pigmented polyurethane resins with a smooth or rough finish for the sealing and protection of floors. It is an ideal option for coating concrete pavements in general, garages and car parks with heavy traffic. Now, what are the features and benefits? Sorry, hold on. I think I'm having an issue with my slides. Not. Okay, are we on the same slide now? Conflow 5,000. So let's just work with this. So what are the features and benefits of Conflow 5,000? It can be used in public areas because it has no solvent. It's very hard and flexible. I remember that one of the two requirements we talked about for car park systems is the fact that it needs to be hard to be able to withstand the constant movement of cars day in and day out. It needs to be flexible to be able to withstand the changes, the flexing when there are cars on it and when there are no cars on it to avoid cracks. Now, no yellowing on exposure to UV rays, meaning that it's UV stable. So it can be suitable also for the deck, for the intermediate layer and also the basement level. It's superior performance to the conventional water-based acrylic, epoxy, and single component polyurethane. So in application, it also requires same surface preparation as Conflow 5,200, but this time around, the priming is quite different. So you're priming with still Conflow 50 primer at the rate of 0.5 kg per square meter, and you're priming in two coats. So now the first coat will be diluted with water. So you're diluting it with 10 to 15% of water, and you're going to apply at the rate of 0.2 to 0.25 kg per square meter. Then the second layer of the priming, which will be undiluted this time around, will also be applied at the same rate as the first priming layer. And the next is the surface coating. So we're going to apply Conflow 5,000 at the rate of 0.15 to 0.2 kg per square meter. Then we're going to sprinkle sand of 0.4 to 0.9 mm at the rate of 1 kg per square meter, which is optional depending on what your client wants. You sprinkle this on the surface. Then an optional layer, last layer, applied at the rate of 0.15 to 0.2 kg per square meter is applied on the surface after broadcasting the sand on the surface. Now for light colors, a minimum of 3 layers should be applied for colors that are not light enough. And then remember we talked about the sealers. So if you want to maintain that shine, that gloss on your polyurethane flooring, on your polyurethane floor for a long period of time, it would be advisable to apply a sealer on the surface to seal that shine for as long as possible. Now, the thickness of this system is about for this Conflow 5,000 is 0.25 to 0.35, sorry, 0.25 to 0.35 mm. So thank you very much. That will be all for flooring systems for car parks. I will quickly go to our question and answer session. So if you have any question, please, this is the time to ask your question.